So last time I talked about this topic was in late 2022, so it's been over 2 years since I talked about this. But yeah, I'm actually quite shocked that Nintendo has not they have not revived this IP, or they've done no remakes of any of the older games, especially the second game, because the second Mother game from 1994 on the SNES is the one that people know about. I think it was like the only installment that got localized in America. People like Mother 3 from 2006, but that never got localized. The first Mother game that we got back in, I want to say, was like the 80s or whatever for the SNES. Mother 1, it never got localized either. And you would think they would do something where they would localize the first and the third game, and then re-release the trilogy on the Switch 2, or have it on the Nintendo Switch, eShop or whatever. But I don't know. I feel like Earthbound, for the most part, even though it has a cult following, it only appeals to a niche audience of gamers, because I don't think too many casuals are aware of the Mother series, because it never got enough exposure here in the Americas. And um and I feel like, for the longest time, like, Nintendo needed like high profile, first party or second party, RPGs that people could really sink their teeth into, or high profile Nintendo games outside of Mario and Zelda and all that, Donkey Kong, that they could really sink their teeth into. But I don't know. I think like the problem with the Mother games, like Mother 2 and Mother 3, is that they were too dark and too controversial, especially Mother 3. I think Mother 3 had this notorious reputation for being really dark, and basically, I think it would be to a point where localizing it would, create a lot of controversy in America. But I mean, you look at things nowadays, um, like, for the most part, I feel like I think Nintendo is more lenient in terms of having N-rated games on their consoles nowadays, because we're getting Cyberpunk 2077, and we're getting like several other, like, violent games that's supposed to be coming on the Switch. I believe we're supposed to be getting more Call of Duty games on the Switch too in the future. So I don't think, like, violence or anything like that would be an issue on Nintendo consoles. But I do feel that having Mother 1, 2, and 3 on the Switch console or Switch 2 would be a problem, especially considering the fact that the guy who was pretty much responsible for the creation of the Mother series hasn't worked on a video game since 2006, because I believe 2006 was the last time he worked on a video game, and that was Mother 3. He um, he worked on the story for that. He was the director for the first two Mother games that came out in '89 and '94, and and yeah, I mean, he hasn't had anything to really do with gaming since then. He hasn't really collaborated with Nintendo or anything since then. I don't know if it's just lack of motivation, or because he feel like the Mother series ended up being a flop, and it just completely discouraged him from being involved in video games and stuff like that. But his work influenced a lot of people, because I believe we had gotten a spiritual successor for the Mother series. It was called Oddity. I'm not exactly sure whether or not the game officially released or not, but it was supposed to be Mother 4, and then I don't know. I think that got scrapped. But but yeah, I mean, I feel like the Mother series, for the most part, um, I feel like if it were to make a comeback in this day and age, it's something that would definitely break social media. It would trend on X. It's something that would set the gaming community ablaze. And I feel like it would do great numbers in terms of like sales, and it would probably have a decent amount of commercial success. I wouldn't say it would do anything, outrageous as far as like, sales numbers or anything like that. But I feel like it would definitely sell more than the first three Mother games that we got, if we'd gotten like a Mother 4 or something like that. And even if the director and the creator of the Mother series is not involved, if Nintendo still has the IP for the Mother franchise, they could still like they could still remake one of the older games, like maybe 2 or something like that, or they can do 3, and then try to localize it, but, the original Mother 3 game has been localized, so, trying to do that would be a bit of a problem. Mother 2 has been localized, so I think it'd be easier for them to work off of that, but honestly, I feel like that's something that has a very slim chance of actually happening in real life because Nintendo really sees no interest in reviving the IP or the franchise. They don't think there's any money to be made. And similar to that of like F-Zero, it's something that a lot of people want to see like be brought back, but at the same time, it's not it's probably not going to do as well as they want it to do in terms of sales and performance and all that. And with IPs like Mario and Zelda and Donkey Kong and Smash Brothers and Splatoon, do you really need the Mother series? Because it's not like their IPs have been growing stale because a lot of these IPs that have been mentioned, they've been around since the 80s and the 90s, and they're still growing strong to this day. The games are still doing good numbers to this day. And I feel like, with that being said, bringing back, the Mother series is something that would be really interesting. It's something that a lot of people, myself included, would love to see, but there's really no reason for Nintendo to do that. And I feel like it's something that it should have been done at least a decade ago. And at this point, I don't think a lot of people really care anymore.